Hey guys, welcome back. If you are here, then that means that you just went and told me like what organizer we were going to use, and we did some oral drill questions around poetry. So now I'm really excited because now is the time of the lesson where you actually get to dive into the poem, which is like the most exciting part of the lesson. So show some silent excitement. We're going to go ahead and get started. Remember, the title of our poem today is Life Doesn't Frighten Me, and it's by Maya Angelou. And I'm going to be reading it out loud. And as I'm reading, we're going to be filling out parts of our story organizer. So, whatever I reveal on my story organizer, you are going to put into your own paper and pencil story organizer. Got it? All right, let's get started. Life Doesn't Frighten Me by Maya Angelou. Shadows on the wall, noises down the hall. Life doesn't frighten me at all. Bad dogs barking loud, big ghosts in a cloud. Life doesn't frighten me at all. Mean old Mother Goose, lions on the loose. They don't frighten me at all. Dragons breathing flame on my counterpane. That doesn't frighten me at all. I go boo, make them shoo. I make fun, way they run. I won't cry, so they fly. I just smile, they go wild. Life doesn't frighten me at all. Tough guys fight all alone at night. Life doesn't frighten me at all. Panthers in the park, strangers in the dark. No, they don't frighten me at all. That new classroom where boys all pull my hair, kissy little girls with their hair in curls, they don't frighten me at all. Don't show me frogs and snakes and listen for my scream. If I'm afraid at all, it's only in my dreams. I've got a magic charm that I keep up my sleeve. I can walk the ocean floor and never have to breathe. Life doesn't frighten me at all. Not at all. Not at all. Life doesn't frighten me at all. What an amazing piece of poetry. So many things as I was reading that I'm just thinking, ooh, those things did used to frighten me. Some of those things still frighten me. And it seems like this narrator is not afraid of anything. So crazy. Such a powerful piece of poetry. You'll notice that, like, as I was reading, I wanted to do one cold read of the entire poem because I wanted to hear the flow. I wanted to hear the pattern. I wanted to hear the rhyming. And sometimes I feel like when I read it, stanza by stanza, it kind of takes that away. So I wanted to read it all the way once through so I could hear. And now I'm going to kind of go stanza by stanza and fill out parts of my organizer. So let's think for a second. In the first one, I'm kind of looking for the setting of my story. This one is a little bit tricky. There's nothing that really, tells me exactly what the setting of the story is. But like what I'm kind of gathering is that this might be kind of um at nighttime. She's like talking a little bit about like potentially like being scared in their dreams. So I'm thinking it might be like at home at night around that time. So what I'm going to go ahead and do is put into my graphic organizer, and remember what I'm putting in, you are also putting in. In my graphic organizer here, I'm going to say that this is happening at night. Good. What about major characters? Well, a character that was presented quite a bit is this narrator. And I want us to actually think for a second, what point of view is the story being told in? Is it being told in the first person, in the second person, or the third person point of view? What do you think? Yeah, I see that pronoun I a lot throughout the text. So that's telling me that the narrator is referring to themselves. When the narrator is using I or me or my to refer to themselves, that's telling me that it's in the first person. Good job. Now I want to think like if the character is this first person narrator, and that's like the character I want to talk about, can I come up with like a character trait to describe them? Yeah, I agree. The character trait that I'm thinking a lot about is brave. It doesn't really seem like this character, this narrator, is really scared of anything in the real world. Sometimes they might get scared in their dreams, but it sounds to me like they're pretty brave. What about like perspective. Remember, perspective is how the character thinks or feels about another character or the situation. How is this character kind of feeling? Hmm. Well, it kind of seems like they could feel really scared around all of these things, but they're not really feeling scared. So let's kind of like update our story organizer. Give it a second. Okay, let's take a look. So the first thing that I'm going to put in here is this idea that the narrator is going to be the person in the story that we're talking about. And I'm noticing first person point of view, right? We talked about that. A character trait that I could put here for the narrator is that they're feeling really brave, or that they are brave. Not that they're feeling brave, but that they are brave. Character perspective. This is exactly what we just talked about. The narrator thinks that they can kind of handle anything without being scared, even if it is something that could be considered kind of scary. Character motivation is what the character wants or needs. There's nothing in the poem that's letting me know character motivation, so I can leave that blank. Remember, like Jay-Z said, I don't have to have every single element filled out, so no big deal if my character motivation is not filled out completely. Let's move on to the problem. State the major conflict in the text between characters or because of an event or a situation, and how it makes the characters feel. Well, there's really no external conflict. There's nothing that the narrator wants but can't have. But I am kind of sensing a little bit of an internal conflict here. The internal conflict that I'm picking up is really this idea that the narrator could be feeling scared of like noises and shadows, big dogs, ghosts, scary animals, being all alone at night, kids being mean to them, being afraid of life in general, right? They could feel scared about all of those things. These are all of the things that the narrator in the poem was listing as like potential things to be scared of, right? Bad dogs barking, big ghosts, life, lions, tough guys fighting, being all alone at night. These are all things that the narrator has named as things that could potentially cause a conflict for them. And what about like any attempts to resolve? Does the narrator do anything to make these conflicts less conflicting? Yes, right? The narrator says, like, life doesn't frighten me at all. This makes the conflict better because they don't allow themselves to be scared of things that we might consider to be scary. What about the last box? This is honestly like one of my favorite boxes in this organizer, the why. For yes, there's a solution. This is where we come up with a lesson learned or the theme of the poem. Well, what did I really learn from this? I learned that, like, this narrator was super, super brave. And they just like kept asserting and saying, like, life doesn't scare me. So, like, if you say something enough times, you might actually believe it. If we keep saying, like, life doesn't scare me, life doesn't frighten me, ghosts don't scare me, weird noises at night don't scare me. If I say that over and over and over, I might eventually believe it. So, that was my first lesson learned. If you say something enough, you will eventually believe it. My next one, if you attack your fears head on, you can overcome them, right? Like, I'm sure that this narrator, instead of like running away from noises and shadows, like stood there, faced it, and was like really confident in how they were feeling to get those scary things to not feel so scary anymore. We learned so much in this poem. And whatever my organizer looks like, your paper organizer should look like as well. So I'm going to go ahead and leave this screen right here so that you can actually take a moment and you can pause the video so that you can catch up and make sure that your organizer looks just like my organizer. This organizer is really going to help you when you answer the questions below. So if you don't have your organizer ready to go, please pause the video right now and make sure your organizer looks just like mine. Okay? So go ahead and pause, fill it out. Great. If you press play, then that means that you're back with me. You've filled out your organizer and it looks exactly like mine looks. Good job. So let's go ahead and kind of refocus ourselves. How do we read and annotate? Like, will we have all of the elements of a story map? Well, we have an S, a T, an O, an R, and a Y. We can, right? This is a great example of a poem that has every single element. Will all of the poems that we encounter have every single element? No, not always. This one is an example where we did have an S, a T, an O, an R, and a Y, but not every poem will, just like Jay-Z says, not always. So now that we've actually read the poem, we're going to dive into two questions. It's actually one question with a part A and a part B. You know how these go. But we're going to do this one together. And then you guys are actually going to do the last question on your own for independent practice, like easy peasy, not a super long lesson. So let's go ahead and dive into this one. Question 1, part A. What is the meaning of lines 37 through 38 of Life Doesn't Frighten Me? And then it shows a snip of the lines. I've got a magic charm that I keep up my sleeve. Oh, yeah. That's when she was saying, like, things don't frighten me. I have this magic charm that I keep up my sleeve. I can walk the ocean without ever having to breathe, or something along those lines. I remember that part. So I need to think first, like, is this a supporting detail question or a big idea question? I always ask myself that. This is a supporting detail question. It's asking me to refer to a specific part in this text, and it's asking what is the meaning about this line in the text. So I know I'm going to need to go back into the text to try to find my answer. I've got a magic charm that I keep up my sleeve. I'm looking for the meaning of this. Here's the whole section. Don't show me frogs and snakes and listen for my scream. If I'm afraid at all, it's only in my dreams. I've got a magic charm that I keep up my sleeve. I can walk the ocean floor and never have to breathe. Huh. So what's the meaning of line 37 and 38? I've got a magic charm that I keep up my sleeve. Well, let's go through these answer choices. Is the meaning of this a secret talent to use when the time is right? Maybe, like the secret talent could be the narrator being able to look fear in the face and be like, nope, it doesn't make me scared. It doesn't make me afraid. That could be it. Is it a symbol of the speaker's imagination? Well, do I really think they have a magic charm? No, I don't think that they have a real magic charm that will allow them to breathe underwater. So I agree it is a symbol, but I don't think that it's a symbol of the speaker's imagination. I'm going to leave it because it might be. I'm going to come back to it. A special treasure hidden from cruel classmates. No, there's no evidence for that. There's one line where it was talking about kids in her class being mean to them, but that isn't matching up with the magic charm. A scary experience in the speaker's nightmares. They never really talked about nightmares or scary experience. They said they might be scared in their dreams, but there's no evidence that that's what these two lines really mean. So I need to come back to A and B. I keep thinking about B, and I'm going to say that this one is not correct because there's nothing to really let us know that this is like the speaker's imagination. It's not, the meaning of these lines aren't to show us that the speaker has an imagination. The meaning of these lines are to show us that the narrator has a secret talent that they can use when the time is right. Their secret talent is to confront things that make them feel scared when they might be feeling scared, and to say that it doesn't bother them. So the answer choice that I'm looking for here is answer choice A. Part B. Which lines from the poem best demonstrate the answer to part A? And Mrs. Lardner's PowerPoint gave it away because I didn't do it right, but that's okay because we were going to go through it anyway. So we know that D is the correct answer, but let's talk about why answer choice A is not. So which one best demonstrates the answer to part A? Well, let's look at lines 10 through 11. Lines 10 through 11, dragons breathing flame on my counterpane. Does that really show me her secret power or her secret talent? No, it doesn't. Let's look at 28 through 29. 28 is right over here. That new classroom where boys all pull my hair. Does that show her secret talent? Nope, it doesn't. Lines 35 through 36. If I'm afraid at all, it's only in my dreams. No, that one would have been for that other answer choice that we were talking about, right? Like the imagination, but nope, that one is not correct. Let's look at 39 through 40. I can walk the ocean floor and never have to breathe. Is that showing her secret talent? Yeah. Is it really like her actually walking on the ocean floor? No. What it's saying is like she can go and start doing things that seem challenging or impossible, but because she has this secret talent, she's able to kind of ignore all of those things and not be afraid. So she's being able to do something that seems impossible, but she can still do it. That's why the answer choice here is D, lines 39 through 40. Good work, guys. Now what I want you to go ahead and do is you're going to scroll on down, you're going to fill out the questions below. Remember to have your graphic organizer filled out, and then we just went through question 1, part A, and part B together. This is the same question that it's going to ask you in the Google form, so make sure that if you're not sure, you go back and you watch this video because I've given you the answers. Make sure you have that story organizer, fill out the questions below, and then click next, and I'll see you in the final video. Bye, guys.